Wake up. Grandpa, wake up.
Wake up.
Grandpa, wake up. He sees the light.
I say,
He's alive.
it's been a year. Back in my day, I used to look forward to Spider-Man. It's been a year. Year. Oh, Shani. Sorry, I had to de-age a little bit. Hi, I'm Ghosty. Welcome back. Wow, a year. It has been a whole year since the release of Spider-Man 2. And man, oh man, what a game. Am I right? What a game, indeed. I'm gonna have to make this little web of my own real quick and pull these things out of my ass to present this to you in a questionnaire of sorts. 'Cause looking back at it, it really was something special. The game itself is too, don't get me wrong, in its own way. But looking back at it, and with it being its anniversary now, how has the game aged in a year's time? And also, third and final question, do we hate Insomniac? And trust me, it is serious. They are valid questions. Please do not question my questioning, please. Thank you very much. But looking back at it, oh man, oh man. This time last year, I was probably in the same place at my setup, counting down the literal seconds until this game came out. There was so much to feel at that time. Just excitement, the hype around it. Fear that it would, be anything short of special or spectacular, I should say, like the first game was. Depth, if you can count that as a feeling, because some people really did break the bank for it, especially considering that they made consoles for this game. Can't lie, it was awesome. There was just so much going into it and so many elements to it, and of course that feeling, it rivaled that of Christmas Eve, and I'm not lying. If you know, then you know. And if you do know, you're probably one of the many victims that had to stop and stare at that same still image for the longest. Looking at it now, I kind of miss them days. But look at us now. We have more than just that image to prove the game's existence. Now it's actually out. I've played it, and people definitely have feelings about this game. And they may be mixed, but from what I see online and pretty much everywhere, the fan base is less divided than I would like it to be, because I'm actually a minority. Nope. I'm in the minority that actually likes this game. No matter what corner or crevice of the internet I crawl through, I see people hating on it and just shitting on it just to shit on it. Or saying how bad it is, how the game has flopped, how it's nothing that we wanted, and more. And I've just never been able to see that. For me, it's a tale about the Spider-Men. It's another classic tale of them struggling to balance that hero and personal life, and how to be better on both paths moving forward. Like, both of our Spideys are trying to be more superhero than human, and they just can't. They're both dealing with a little bit of imposter syndrome, and they're getting through it in obviously very different ways. Whether or not that's the right way to cope with it, I'm not the one to say. But you already know how Spidey stories go. It gets real emotional, real personal, genuine, and that's something I've always appreciated with the character. Plus, it doesn't even matter who's under the mask. And as for this game though, like I said, I do like it, but I also have to admit, with that liking comes an itty bitty amount of bias. And this game's anniversary might as well be the bias's birthday too, because I knew going into it that I was going to end up liking it, no matter what they did. Unless they somehow completely tarnished and ruined everything, or unless they shit in their hands and painted the walls with it, nothing was going to stray me from that path. And here I am talking about how I like it. Shocker. Oh, shocker. Oh, what a missed opportunity. Anyways, just as a Spidey fan alone, I kind of had some idea of what was to come. Not to mention all the trailers and teasers and whatnot that we got finally after looking at that still image. But what was incorporated into this game were some of my favorite aspects and elements of the Spidey mythos. Whether it be villains I really like the bad guys like Mysterio or Chameleon, being able to really embrace the friendly neighborhood side of Spider-Man, or both of them, in fact. And then when you get around to looking at the main story, not only is it a loose adaptation of an iconic story already, but also in both of them, we have the symbiote. Which also, while I'm on that topic of the story, this is another missed opportunity, but not gonna dwell on it. But yeah, symbiote. I said this before on the channel, I am a thucker for a symbiote story. And here I am a year later, still a thucker. God, I love the black suit arc. Even though I can attest that I think it should have gone on longer in the game, I'm gonna let it be. But either way, I like the black suit, because after that, we ended up getting Venom and seeing that, and before you start, I am well aware of the Venom in this game. I'm well aware that the Venom we get is not the typical Venom. It's not that Parker, Spidey, hating goop monster that we all know as the character, but instead it's something different. And I said this last year, but don't mind me repeating myself, but holy hell, they had balls to do so. Not only changing a core character up, but also changing him where it is such an impact to the main story. Woo. It was a bold move from the very beginning. And if you've seen the feedback of how the fans think of this Venom, then it may or may not have been worth it. I mean, see for yourself. But this iteration of the character brings a long discussion with him, so I won't go too much into detail. But what I will say is, just to be clear, even though I do much prefer the usual Venom that we have and know and love, that once Parker dead, I don't mind them flipping it on its head as much in this game, solely because of the story that they're telling now. See, Venom is a personification of all of Spidey's darkness, that hatred, that rage, and now it's back face to face to haunt him. In this case, with Harry being the host, they're one and the same, bonded, and they're going towards the same shared goal of healing the world, just now in its own twisted, freaky way. And with that, we have all these parties working with their own methods towards the same thing, and that is, a better tomorrow, a better future. And they're all taking up this opportunity of being able to do and be better, which comes full circle and is the game's slogan, I think. It's either be better or be better together. And honestly, now that I think about it, it might be together because of the symbiote, but I'm not recalling. As you can see though, I've grown quite fond of it. And personally, remember, this is subjective, personally, I do think the pieces fell into place. At the very least, somewhat coherently. Because I do think they tell this story properly, but then again, I also will be one of the first ones to attest that some parts of this game most definitely could have used a little more time in the oven, if you know what I mean. Whether it's more attention, whether it's more time, regardless of what it is though, I do notice this and I see it when looking back. And that's not even looking back at the release date issues. That was a whole other ball game, because we had different symbiote colors, that same symbiote suit not even appearing, the cube. And there's also been much more that I've encountered myself. And of course things I've seen on the internet here and there. I remember starting the game and being so impatient to get into that epic ass intro that the game had, just for my audio to vanish. It was upsetting, but it wasn't for that long, but still. These things shouldn't happen, especially in a game this big and major, but sometimes they do, and then they end up fixing them and smoothing them out and, fixing any glitches and really getting into the system. But besides all the updates on either bugs or glitches and whatnot, we have gotten New Game Plus, and then we have gotten, well, nothing. And, oh well, what's this? Breaking news just in. There are no plans for DLC. Ouch. Whew. Yeah, that hurts a little bit. But I kind of get it. They could be working on other things, or even the next installment in the series. Or if I want to take this, negative symbiote approach that everyone else has in the fan base, I could just say, it's goddamn zilch. Zero, nada, nothing. They could be doing balls. And that's why we're raging with our pitchforks and our torches. On a real note, though, it is incredibly disappointing, no matter how you look at it. Especially since we're coming off from the original, which delivered in itself, but also had these consecutive chapters of DLC releasing one after another after another. Plus, it makes it even worse if you've actually played this sequel and you view it as underwhelming. And I'm going to decide to go a pair of balls real quick, because I genuinely do think that this game is overhated. And if you couldn't tell, the community, the fan base, is in shambles. They're having a war over this, and have been for the last year. But in every war, there is always a line. And I think there's a fine line that divides the hate and the criticisms of this game that are actually valid. That I am actually able to understand and get behind. And I'm able to endorse these things that should be spoken out loud. There's a good chance that I might just be chronically online, but I feel like I never see anything good or lighthearted about this game ever. Unless it's from myself. And see, I'm not trying to be my own superhero of any sort. I'm not trying to be this beacon of hope or this shining light above everyone. But if I have to be the only one that likes it, then I will be. So be it. I'm sure people like it, but I'll be the only one to publicly announce that I will, I guess. I don't know. But moving on, I'm not completely sure where I'm at with this, to be honest. But as you can tell, the game hasn't aged the best, and it really is up to interpretation and your perspective. You know, what you're into, what your interests are, and how you view the mythos. The same could be said for literally any kind of game or any kind of adaptation or anything related to comics or the Spider-Man character. This game is just one that has really caused a lot of commotion and division within the fan base and the community itself. And like I mentioned, I can acknowledge its flaws, I see where it could use revisions or even more content in areas. But despite any flaws that I may think it has, at the end of the day, I still like the game. Even if it is just by a slight margin, even if it is because of my very specific perspective on how I view these things and on how I view these narratives that they've made. Like I said earlier in the video, before the game was even released, I knew that I was going to like it going into it. And that's well because I had faith. And like I said, I don't want to act as if I'm some beacon of hope, but I've had it. I've had it each and every time. Way back when we heard about Insomniac Games making the first game titled Spider-Man, I hoped for the best, and I had faith. And what do you know? I ended up web-slinging for hours on end, and then found myself tearing up at the end of the game. It was a hell of a ride, and then after that came Spider-Man Miles Morales, and after that, we found ourselves here with Spider-Man 2. And each and every time I had faith, and that same faith had me jump from game to game to game, where I have fully embraced each and every one of them. Because they're games where I can nerd out and just be free. Games where I can enjoy myself and be the fanboy that I am. Games where I could be, well, Spider-Man. Because, well, why the hell would I not want to do that? I mean, even more so in the black suit now. Like, come on now. Come on. So I'm going to continue with this faith and hopefully like whatever's next. It really is all up to how you perceive it, and it's really up to what you like and what you don't like within the mythos. Whether or not you like the game, it exists. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to make an argument or make points up to why we shouldn't hate on it, but instead I'm just trying to share my love for the genre, the game, and the mythos, even a year later. And another thing, while we move with time, I don't really think we should just straight up hate Insomniac. Trust me. I know we have, you, me, whoever, we all have many reasons to be upset with them right now, but then again, we don't know what they're cooking, we don't know what's in the making, and if I were a fan who outright hated the game, I wouldn't let that taint the image for what could potentially come. Plus, it's Insomniac, for Christ's sake. They already made all these things that we love, so it's kind of pointless. Also, just so you know, to be clearer, I do not work for Insomniac Games. I'm not even sponsored, let alone employed. Well, just wanted to talk about it, so leave a like, leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching and listening to me yap. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. And of course, happy birthday, Spider-Man 2.